I just got out of the cinemas from watching The Flash on the big screen, and I have some things that I want to talk about for this film, guys. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the review. Let's go. What's going on, you guys? The Demigod back on Demigod AT, bringing you another movie review for The Flash 2023. It's finally here, man. We've been waiting for this movie for so long as DC fans. They've delayed it, they've done reshoots, they've done re-edits, and this film had every single reason in the book to be a complete disaster. It did, especially with the Ezra Miller controversies, which is one of the main reasons that, they delayed and didn't want to put this film out. But I gotta say, guys, DC pulled it off. This was fantastic. I absolutely loved this film. And man, I'm so excited to talk about this. So first things first, Ezra Miller, how does he do as the Flash? I think he does a fantastic job. I wasn't really big on him as the Flash, especially in the 2017 Justice League film where he was introduced. But I gotta say, he's really grown into this role. He performs this character perfectly. I love the personality of Barry Allen inside this film. He's witty and he has fun quips and he's a big nerd inside this, exactly how he should be. And I really appreciated all of those things. I like how Ezra Miller portrays this character, and man, Ezra Miller had a big task on his hand with this film, because inside of this movie you watch the Flash go back in time to save his mother from dying and his father from being locked up for that murder, which you should know if you know anything about the Flash origin whatsoever. But when he returns back to his timeline, things are not exactly how he's found them, and he creates this big ripple throughout the timeline, which causes so many different events to take place or be altered in some way. And so this movie likes to have fun with that. It introduces tons of different ideas and versions of characters, and you get so many mind-blowing cameos inside of here that I just honestly did not expect walking into this movie. And I really like how the Flash suit looks too. I think it looks great inside of here. I love when he charges up his powers, that it goes throughout the suit. That looks fantastic. Now, a problem that's still inside of here that exists from the Justice League is the Flash run. I still really hate how they do his run. It looks so goofy and ridiculous, which, by the way, they do have a little scene where they poke fun at that. So I appreciate the fact that they're self-aware about how ridiculous the run can look at times. But I gotta say, the Speed Force, I loved the way they did the Speed Force inside of here. When Barry Allen goes into the Speed Force, the way that they portray everything and they explain everything and they present it to the audience, it's amazing. It's so inventive, all these different timelines and storylines. I mean, it's so much more multiverse of madness than Doctor Strange 2 was. And in fact, I would compare, the universe hopping and multiverse storyline a lot to the new Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, one of my favorite films this year. And man, I just did not know what to expect walking in here. I didn't expect to enjoy this film as much as I did, or to be wowed by this film as much as I was. Now, just to talk about the cameos that we got inside of the trailer, so the ones that we knew we were getting inside the film: Michael Keaton, Batman 1989, back on the big screen. How did Michael Keaton do? He does a great job, man. It's straight out of my childhood. I grew up watching Batman 1989. Obviously, I didn't grow up in the 80s. I didn't even grow up in the 90s, really. But as a kid, I was presented this movie. I was shown this movie. I've watched it so many times over. It's an absolute classic, especially as a DC fan. And I loved seeing Michael Keaton reprise this role. And he got some really cool bat scenes inside of this film, some great fight scenes, along with Ben Affleck, who, as we know, is in this movie. Now, I'll be honest, he's not in this movie for very long. He's more towards the beginning of the movie. However, you get some great scenes with Batfleck too and other Justice League members inside of here, which some of those were very surprising. And when that classic Batman 1989 score hits the scene, it's absolutely amazing. I love that they implemented his classic score into this film. And honestly, Batman is my number one superhero out of, DC and Marvel. It's always been that way. So as a Bat fan, I was very satisfied with what I got to see inside of here. But when it comes to the other characters, how do they do? Kara, aka Supergirl, I liked her inside of here. She wasn't my favorite though. I felt like they didn't dive, into who she was as a person or her personality whatsoever. She's very stoic, very standoffish, and you only really feel this character when she has battle scenes, because when she has battle scenes, then this actor really comes alive in putting on this performance. But outside of that, I do wish we got a little more out of Kara. And Zod also makes his appearance back in here. I love the fact that we go back to Man of Steel and back to those events. I thought that was a really fun way to implement, you know, where this whole Snyderverse originally started with the Man of Steel Superman film. And while I do like what we got, I do feel like Zod could have been used, you know, a little more inside of here. And the way they use the multiverse inside this film is so expansive and so creative, and you get so many interesting cameos and classic OG characters back on the screen. Amazing to watch, it really was. And I know a lot of fans were worried, you know, is this going to be a Batman movie walking in here? But don't worry about that whatsoever. This is a Flash film through and through. You get a Flash storyline here, tons of Ezra Miller inside of here. And as a DC fan, as a Justice League fan, as a Flash fan, as an original CW Flash fan, I really appreciated this take on the character. I loved what they did with this film. It's honestly astonishing that this film is as good as it is with how much they reshot and re-edited and reworked this movie. I'm very impressed with this movie, I really am, and it kept me intrigued the entire way through. I loved what it picked and pulled from the Flashpoint storyline and what they chose to do, you know, as an original take on the Flashpoint storyline. And there is a post-credit scene, so make sure you stay to the end, even though I don't feel like it was too important, honestly. But that being said, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and drop the official rating for the Flash. I give the Flash 2023 a 9.5 out of 10. It gets the 9.5 out of 10. A couple nitpicks I had with this movie, but I really appreciated this film. As a DC fan, this meant the world to me to finally get to see this movie on the big screen. I mean, we waited so long for this, and it makes me excited for the future of DC films. I think we're headed in a positive direction. This movie did what it was supposed to do, which is reset and reestablish the timeline so we can, you know, lead into James Gunn's DCEU slate. I think it did that job at a very high level now. Definitely go out and support this at the box office. If you're a Flash fan like me, if you're a Justice League and DC fan, you're gonna love this film through and through. I'll be honest, I am a bit biased, but that's okay, man. I'm a big fan of these characters, and I admit my bias here, and it's hard for me to not just jump directly into spoilers because there's so much here to talk about, so much to discuss. But we're just going to leave it at that, guys. Those are my thoughts on The Flash. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section down below. If you don't know what to do here on Demigod to do commentaries, reactions, and reviews, if you're seeing that in the right place, man, hit subscribe, hit the like button. I drop multiple videos a week on the channel, so you can expect that of me. And if you don't already know, I am the Demigod, the chosen one here on Demigod ENT. And I'm out of this thing, man. I'll catch you on the next video. Peace.